Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the IET's President, Air Marshal Sir Julian Young.
Well, hi everybody, I'm Julian Young and I'm delighted and extremely proud to be the President of the IET. Indeed, I've been the President for a fortnight now, and as I seek to make the most of each precious day, I reflect that already 4% of my time in office has passed. So I propose that we should all seize the day and to eat, sleep, engineer and repeat to great effect every day. As we here in the UK are emerging from the pandemic and starting to try and return to some form of new age normality, I wanted to acknowledge that other countries and cities around the world are all at different stages to manage their pandemic. I trust our members, colleagues, family and friends are managing to stay safe, and we extend our thoughts and out to everyone watching and their friends to hopefully come through this safe and well. Making this address without a live audience does provide me with the opportunity to transmit it at a time in the day to suit most of our 158,000 members, wherever you are in the world. As advertised in the run-up to this address, I intend to cover the following topics. An introduction to me, clearly very important, my interest in the IET, which relates to my belief in our institution's strategy 2030. I look at membership in the round, explain why I want to shine a light on technicians over the next 12 months, and then move into what I call the 4 Zs: operationalising STEM, institutionalising professionalisation, squeezing sustainability, and embedding digitalisation. I'll finish on this roller coaster ride by asking you all what it is that we can do together to support our IET and thus make it a bright future for engineering. First though, I should like to take the opportunity to pay a tribute to our immediate past president of the IET, Professor Danielle George, who was amazing in all true senses of the word and led our institution magnificently through its historical 150th anniversary. She helped us together to make a huge difference in so many ways. During the 150th anniversary, the IET has staged several events: the 150 Show, Difference Makers Campaign, Engineering Open House Day, the first ever virtual President's Address, STEM Personality of the Year Award, plus so many more. Our anniversary set out to change the face of engineering and technology and take STEM beyond the normal communities, sharing the possibilities it can offer to the wider community and changing the narrative of what it really means to be an engineer or a technician, and all of this during a pandemic. This virtual presentation provides the opportunity for me to explain my personal storyline against an even more interesting backdrop than the one behind me. So please, let's move to the first video roll from RAF Odium. I'd like to take a little time to describe my engineering career and my motivation behind being a part of the IET. I recently retired from the Royal Air Force, the RAF, earlier this year and served for more than 40 years and reached the rank of Air Marshal. I am especially proud to have been the RAF's Chief Engineer for my last 4.5 years of service. I'm here at RAF Station Odium near Basingstoke, which is where I was posted for my first appointment in 1985, and was delighted to find myself working on the frontline squadron to support the mighty CH-47 Chinook helicopter, but more of that later. So I joined the RAF fresh-faced from school with A-levels in 1980. The RAF put me through a 4.5-year thin sandwich undergraduate degree course, and I studied air transport engineering at what was then the City University in London, now a college as part of the University of London. There are few, if any, thin sandwich degrees nowadays, though it equates really to a modern apprenticeship degree course, as I spent 6 months of each year studying at university and 6 months working vocationally on the front line as an aircraft tradesman. In those days it was servicing F-4 Phantom fighters and maintaining the then new Tornado RB199 engines. This was a longer route to be qualified, though with the much valued practical experience gained along the way, I believe this practical technical experience made the difference over the longer term. Initial officer training followed university, where I graduated in the rank of pilot officer some 6 months later, and then undertook my professional RAF engineer officer training. So by the time we got to the end of 1985, I was fully qualified and posted to RAF Odium here to be the junior engineer officer on 7 Squadron operating Chinooks. I must almost say that quietly, as there is considerable rivalry between frontline squadrons, and we are filming here inside 18 Squadron's hangar, a rival to 7 Squadron. This is, however, okay, as I served as the senior engineer officer on 18 Squadron later in my career. I ought now to explain the RAS front line. In sum, there are multiple main operating bases across the UK. Each is nominally a home for a particular fleet type of aircraft, which are divided across a number of flying squadrons. Each flying squadron typically comprises a dozen aircraft or so, and the ground crew and engineers to maintain them, say around 150, depending on the type of aircraft, and the aircrew to operate them. Their numbers vary depending on the size of the crew needed to operate the aircraft. For example, a Typhoon is a single-seat jet, and a Chinook has a crew of 4. Each squadron is a unit of fighting force and is semi-autonomous in the depth of engineering support required, with the squadron engineers carrying out flight servicing, fault diagnosis at system level, and rectification. The aircraft from each squadron rotate periodically into depots type organisations for more in-depth maintenance away from the front line. When I joined the RAF, these depots were government run, though these days they are generally managed by industry partners. Being an engineer officer on a squadron means that you are one of a small cadre of 3 or so engineers to support the aircraft. You cannot do this on your own. This is a team sport, and they need the ground crew technical specialists to do all the hard technical work. Indeed, since my first tour in 1985, when 125 technicians called me boss, I have respected the privilege and ultimate responsibility of being a team leader. So there are many more technicians than engineer officers in the military, and this is why I am a fan of the technician, who are well trained, highly skilled, and the most amazing group of can-do women and men that you could ever want to work alongside. They provide the technical backbone of the RAF's fighting force, but more of this later. The RAF and wider Ministry of Defence manages its own engineering policy, its operational logistics, training, quality assurance, acquisition and support activity for all of its many types of fixed wing and rotary wing aircraft. So fast forward 35 years or so, I've had a full career in a variety of all of these disciplines and ended my career as the 3-star Director General Air in an organisation called Defence Equipment and Support as part of the Ministry of Defence. I was responsible for leading an organisation of 2,265 professionals, a mix of civil servants, military and contractors. So together we successfully put to work an annual budget of £3.7 billion on multiple programmes and projects, acquiring and supporting all of the MOD's fixed-wing aircraft from F-35 Lightning through P-8A Poseidon to the A400M transport aircraft, 3 of the most advanced military capabilities of their type anywhere in the world. But I'll let you into a secret. The most enjoyable job I've ever had was to be the senior engineer officer on 18 Squadron, being responsible for all of this real aircraft engineering on the front line. It makes me smile just remembering it. So now you know that and have seen the mighty Chinook, I ought to explain that I've been associated with the IET for around 12 years. This was when our institution leaned into making membership and professional registration more attractive to people serving in the military. After working with the IET for some months on a trial fast-track scheme, I was asked to join the Membership and Professional Development Board. Then I was encouraged to stand for election to be a trustee, and a couple of years later for Vice President, and have been a Deputy President now for the last 2 years. Being honest, no matter who you are, it feels a bit uncomfortable standing in an election, though I recommend you all to consider giving your time to support one of our many activities, groups and committees. It doesn't always require an election, and it's always personally rewarding. The sense of giving and learning new skills. I know that thousands of you know this already, as we've been so many great volunteers, without which the IET could truly not achieve anywhere near as much as it does, and it achieves an enormous amount already. So a massive thank you to all of our volunteers across the globe. Thank you. Involvement, of course, means having influence. and I'm proud as a trustee to have contributed to the IET's future through our 2030 strategy. Just picking out a few points from it: increasing the number of people entering our profession, ensuring our influence is seen in society every day, increasing public trust in digital, and solving the world's problems. I trust you'll all agree it's a worthy set of targets that we can all put our collective support behind. Beyond this, we have, of course, the additional 5 societal challenges where the engineering profession can make a real and massive difference. These include sustainability and climate change and digital futures, which I'll return to later. As you have seen on the last slide, a significant target in the strategy is to grow our membership to 200,000 members. Now, membership is an interesting topic. 3/4 of the UK population belong to a membership organisation. This and the following stats relate to the UK, though I believe the principles hold good globally. Such membership includes customer loyalty schemes, professional bodies and local community services. Indeed, the average UK adult belongs to 2 community organisations, say a local library and church, and 3 retail organisations, that is Nectar, Tesco Clubcard, Boots Advantage Card, for example. Of course, other loyalties are available. Plus, around 1/4 of our population belong to one of the UK's 450 professional membership organisations. So the current health of membership appears good. Membership is important to us, and belonging and identity form a core pillar of our social needs. But membership trends are changing. Over the past 40 years, membership of political parties in the UK has declined by nearly 65%, and yet National Trust membership hit an all-time peak of 5 million 4 years ago. I would say that's environment beats politics. Unfortunately, our own membership has reduced by around 11,000 during the pandemic. New generations rightly have their own ideas on participation and what they're prepared to pay for. Plus, technology has given people the ability to come together at any time, at any place, and has enabled low-cost access to information on an international scale. But what can we do to retain and grow membership? Well, there are common themes between successful membership organisations. Sense of belonging and identification, the feeling that you fit in, say for us being technically skilled, and have a right to be a member and are accepted as such by other members. And the most important point, personal investment. Contributing time or brain power to an organisation strengthens the bond. It gives membership more meaning and value to an individual. This takes us back, of course, to volunteers. So, working from this outline membership theory, while we can't be complacent, I reckon we're in pretty good shape looking to the future. Strategy 2030 reinforces our institution's purpose, why we exist, explains the IET's vision, our values of integrity, excellence and teamwork, and offers the chance for people to join the journey to engineer a better world, giving us all a strong sense of belonging. The societal themes ensure the IET's relevance and reputation continue to be paramount, and we're enabling opportunities for all of our members, that's of course all of us, to take the positive societal role, for example supporting sustainability and climate change. And knowledgeable content is the IET's medium for reach, reputation and engagement. Strategy 2030 provides alignment on sense and direction so that our local networks and members can be more deeply involved in creating content and having the right conversations. This forms the personal investment that should strengthen the bond of membership, with the IET acting as the curator and distributor. Now, before leaving membership, I just want to add my 1000% support for diversity in all of its guises. I am pleased to have worked with women in defence, women in engineering, WISE and equal engineers in the past few years. The IET runs many corporate campaigns to promote a more inclusive and diverse workforce within engineering and technology, and how we can promote role models that represent everybody. Beyond that, specifically, our Young Women Engineer of the Year Award ceremony took place in March, the first ever virtual version of this event. We celebrated our 6 finalists and their incredible achievements, crowning Ella Podmore from McLaren Automotive as our 2020 Young Woman Engineer of the Year. And she will be chairing the fireside chat this evening to asking me tough questions, so please tune in for that. Something to watch, no pressure whatsoever. The beauty of the world lies in the diversity of its people, and diversity of thought solves more problems. Just what we engineers do. So we need to be as diverse as we can. Now to my intent through my 12 months as president, shining a light on technicians. I have another video to show you, shot on location at RAF Cosford. Please roll the video. Hello everyone again. I'm here at RAF Station Cosford near Wolverhampton, which is the RAF's technical training college. I'm proud to have been the commanding officer at Cosford some 20 years ago and thus know this place pretty well. Indeed, this period helped form my strong passion for professional development in that we were constructing the future of the RAF's technical capability. This always seemed like a sobering challenge for the management team at the time and the need for us always to get it absolutely right. Today, the RAF recruits around 700 technical apprentices a year, and it is here that they are trained in a variety of trades. Aircraft maintenance, specialising as mechanical, avionics or weapons technicians. Indeed, it's trainees on a weapon technician apprenticeship that you can see behind me, learning how to load weapons safely and effectively onto aircraft. In this case, a Tornado fast jet. It's complex stuff, and absolutely with no margin for error. The RAF also has general technicians, including ground electrical, ground mechanical and workshop trades, who look after the engineering infrastructure and equipment enabling aircraft operations. Our ICT technicians manage cyber in all of its various guises and defence's complex information systems. And our survival equipment technicians look after the aircrew's life support systems. All of these courses offer an apprenticeship and the pathway to gain a City and Guilds Level 3 diploma. During my year as the president of the IET, as you know, I want to shine a light on technicians. Let me explain again why from my own personal experience. The RAF today is made up of 31,750 people. Of this total, just over 12,000 are in the engineering profession. That is with what I would say a small e. This comprises 38% of the entirety of the Air Force, which should not be surprising as the Air Force is a technology-based organisation and relies on a wide variety of engineering specialists to support getting its jets off the end of the runway. What you might find surprising is that of this 12,000 total, fewer than only 1,200 are engineer officers who lead the overall enterprise. But there literally are hundreds of highly experienced leaders, managers and supervisors at a number of non-commissioned ranks within the technician numbers. Before I retired from the RAF earlier this year, I was the RAF's Chief Engineer, and the large majority of my engineering flock were technicians. This was my world for the past 40 years. I believe this ratio reflects similar organisational structures across engineering companies across the UK and the world. Just think, we as an institution have been successful recruiting engineers at iEng and CEng level for years. I would describe these as engineers with a capital E. Though for years we have not, until recently, been as successful at targeting engineering technicians as members. You might recall Professor John Uff's review into engineering professional landscape, which was published in 2017. Among many recommendations and conclusions, he stated that the UK was still a long way off achieving the increased numbers, taking either A-level physics or NVQ level 3 technical engineering qualifications that were required for the future of engineering. He went on to describe there being a missing 3 million engineers in the UK who had no formal affiliation with the profession. Well, I put to you now that the majority of those missing engineers are probably technicians, just like those in the RAF, just like those behind me. I'm proud that in my last few years in the service to have set about encouraging technicians to become professionally registered at an organisational level. However, my question now for all of us is what are we, you, doing to encourage all of your engineers to care enough to formally join their profession? Together perhaps we can change the way that global society views all of its engineering communities and shift upwards the status of our profession. If we are all working together, I trust we can. Do you? So as I said on the screen, I believe that together we can change the way society views the total engineering community and shift the status of our profession upwards. Moving on to my 4 Zs. And I know it's just appeared under sleep, but I want you Please, all to wake up right now, because this is important, and I want you to dream about those 4 Zs from here on in. The first, operationalising STEM. You could subtitle this as simply getting on with it, though of course to do it properly means much more than that. Within defence, for example, engagement of young people through STEM was widespread for engineers and technicians for years, though it was not coordinated, relatively patchy across the country, and relied heavily on the momentum of a very few individuals who frequently were posted to new locations. The Defence Engineering Champion team wrote and published the MOD's first strategy for STEM youth outreach. This strategy emphasised that Defence would play its part within an integrated UK approach, links to the Department of Education and other organisations. We would join forces with strategic partners such as STEM Learning, Tomorrow's Engineers and Primary Engineer. The Defence strategy gave permission-wide footprint of engineer commanders to encourage their people to work with partners and STEM charities to promote uptake of STEM subjects in their local schools and colleges. And in 2017, the MOD took on the largest footprint at Big Bang at NEC Birmingham. That was my individual part in operationalising STEM. But now, please, let's have another video, a selfie that I took at Big Bang in 2018.
We have got about 21,000 school children here, as you can see. As the Air Force stand at the back, and here's some friends I've just made. Hello. Hopefully you won't mind. I might tweak this if that's okay.
That's cool. That's good.
So, about STEM.
STEM.
But research conducted in 2015 and 2019 showcased children's love for STEM was on a decline, and that parents and teachers also felt that they were unable to support children in engaging with STEM. The pandemic has, of course, exacerbated this feeling. I'm pleased to say that the IET is helping to bridge the gap. The IET's Education Department has won awards for the work it does, providing opportunities for children, including competitions such as the Faraday Challenge and First Lego League. This year, there are also match funding donations to the IET Futures Fund in support of our STEM programmes. The match funding total today stands at just under £1.9 million. Our aim is to make that £2 million target by the end of the year. The Engineer a Better World campaign sets out to engage children through their love of toys, food, music, space, sport, and most recently this year, superheroes. There's nothing else really left. This campaign actively nurtures youngsters' curiosity about how the world works and why, through fun and exciting competitions. Moving on to my second Z, institutionalising professionalisation. Strategy 2030 sets the goal of drawing a professionally registered membership of 100,000 people through our reputation of excellence. This represents an increase of a hefty 71%. So there is always some work to be done here. Costs, policy, and the trouble to complete applications can prevent people from applying for professional registration. For my part, I dealt with this as the previous Defence Engineering Champion by submitting first a case for approval for all Armed Forces engineers to claim back the cost from the MOD for their professional registration fees. I must add that our civil service engineers already had this privilege. With that under our belt, my team and I then set about presenting a case to give a financial reward to sailors, soldiers and airmen who become professionally registered. I'm pleased to say that after pulling together a body of evidence of papers of over 65 pages in length and over 2 years of debate, we won this case. The outcome is a popular measure across defence, underlining that the MOD values its people with expertise and knowledge, and it should act as a retention measure too. And then we issued the MOD's first strategy for engineering professionalisation. I offer this as an example of what an individual can do to bring about positive change within their own environment. Remember that thought for later. Now, corporately, you will recall past President Peter Bonfield's initiative 2 years ago, setting up a concordat which set out to encourage companies and organisations to support their engineers and technicians to continually improve their professionalism and competence. Some 80 companies across our corporate, enterprise and MOD partners have now signed the concordat, and the IET continues to work towards encouraging more organisations to sign up and to contribute towards institutionalising professionalisation. Just like these organisations recognise the value, contributions and credibility that engineering professionals bring to businesses through their investment in competence and celebrate success in their continual professional development, and they support them by allocating time and encouraging mentoring, coaching and volunteering. Overall, the IET continues to promote professionalism through its Partners programme and through its wider formal and informal networks, and our institution continues to be an authoritative voice challenging others, including government, when professionalism is compromised. My third Z is squeezing sustainability, which refers to Strategy 2030's first societal theme of sustainability and climate change. I don't need to mention to you the impact we're making on the planet. It's happening at a faster rate than the planet can cope with, and that we cannot ignore it any longer. The late Prince Philip, and for those of you who didn't know, he was a fellow of the IET, famously said, "Everything not invented by God is invented by engineers." Thus, it'll be engineers that solve the problems of climate change, and every day we see new and exciting examples of how we can use technology to repair our planet. The point I make is, regardless of the Paris Agreement and whatever happens at COP26 next month in Glasgow, the solutions will need to be faster, better and cheaper to make enough of a difference. So the solutions will inevitably be squeezed to achieve long-term temperature goals. There is no problem bigger than this for us engineers to solve right now, and why our Strategy 2030 is so motivating. Let's look and see what the IET is already doing on sustainability. Strategy 2030 already thinks long-term, thinks globally, encourages innovation, addresses resource management and sets the bar high to be a champion. The IET has been granted observer status and awarded a delegation for COP26. We've been engaging with the Cabinet Office, COP organising committees and chief scientific advisors over the last year, particularly in relation to engineering skills for the green economy. We are partnering with the London Climate Action Week, and the IET is a founding member of the professional body's Climate Action Charter. The first results of the Charter will be presented at COP26 to demonstrate the importance of professionals in the transition to a sustainable economy. And the IET is a principal partner at the National Grid COP26 Youth Engineering Conference, which is a global virtual youth event focusing on green energy transition. My fourth and final Z is embedding digitalisation, another societal theme, digital futures. Again, first a personal view with reflections on my time in the MOD. My team and I linked up with industry and undertook an extensive survey across industry, professional institutions and academic colleagues to discover what technical skills will be needed in the next 10 to 20 years. We had a significant number of replies, though the results were surprising. I had expected the answers to focus on robotics, automation and AI, but the outcome was a resounding call for mechanical engineering graduates. However, the text boxes in the questionnaires clarified that the traditional element of Mech-Eng needed to be the essential core of a student's studies, though the graduates needed also to be more generally educated, and that digital skills were an absolute must-have subject. Armed with this, we wrote to more than 40 universities to inquire how many offered a strong digital module within their traditional engineering subjects. We were surprised that not all universities offer basic software architecture knowledge to all of its engineering courses, so an action plan was developed to help promote this new demand from our customers' perspective. That remains in play and is not yet complete. Another significant finding from the survey was that engineers in the middle of their career were not receiving technology refreshes to remain current. Indeed, how many of us have received our formal training at the beginning of our career at college or at university and then have been given very little formal training since? Meanwhile, technology continues to advance at increasing speed. We coined the phrase of these people as the neglected middle, who are engineering professionals with considerable experience but possibly with outdated skills. I'll go as far as to say I am probably one of them. I'm sorry to say that I cannot code, though I do have the ambition to learn. within the next 12 months, I promise. We concluded the most obvious skills update needed to rejuvenate the neglected middle full range was to embed digital basics into everyone. The IET's opportunity here is to focus on our offer of CPD. Now, the IET's great work on digital skills. Our flagship programme for digital STEM is, of course, the first LEGO League, which involves coding and reached 15,500 young people across the UK during the 2020 to 21 season. The IET also has some great digital skills courses, such as Introduction to AI, Cybersecurity for Industrial Control Systems, Digital Health Software, Safety and Risk Management, Robot Ethics, Securing the Internet of Things Networks, and Introduction to 5G Networks. And there is more to come. We have a digital panel which is volunteer-led and provides strategic advice to government, responds to consultations, delivers thought leadership and develops position statements and other materials within this field of expertise. We host various webinars around digital skills, including the future of manufacturing, digital and the net zero imperative, and improve your resilience with digital. So you can develop your digital future by joining the IET. Now, I've nearly ticked off all of the subjects I'd wanted to cover in this address, though while I alluded to it in the second video, I've saved the most important to last, asking you what we can do together to support the IET in our world's collective future challenges. I trust you'll agree that as members it's a great feeling when we have a sense of belonging and identification with the cause, and I've laid out in this address just a few of the IET's many worthy causes. And crucially, through our united preparedness to make a contribution of time and brainpower, we can reap the rewards from personal investment and give our membership more meaning and value for ourselves and the IET. Using my examples of what I strive to have done as an individual, I ask now for each and every one of our members, you, to influence your environment, your workplace, your colleagues, and your bosses to do more for our profession. So my specific challenge to our IET fellows is to employ the pride and revered position you have earned and to influence the organisations you work within and deal with, to understand the value of professionalisation. This means standing up for our engineering professional development, enabling time for STEM and mentoring the next level down, other members and those already qualified at CEng and IEng level. Please be that shining example and lead your engineering workforce, and in very simple terms, inspire them to want to become you. In turn, this means that experienced IET members and our CEng and IEng engineers could be leading STEM initiatives and mentoring the next level down, those graduates and apprentices who are working to achieve professional registration. And as before, please do all you can to inspire them to want to become you. And my request to those student and apprentice members is clearly to work hard towards their own professionalisation, but also to be open to engaging and delivering STEM. You're so much closer to the target audience than I am with my grey hair. And again, by inspiring young people in schools and colleges to want to become you. If we can all do this, we can make a big difference to our profession and the status of engineering. Beyond that, we also have to recover lost ground globally on engagement and recruiting new members and recapturing old ones owing to COVID-19. Plus, please co-champion technicians. Let us together secure the next generation of engineering professionals. Finally, my personal pledge to you all. Over the next 12 months, I shall communicate and consolidate the IET Strategy 2030. I will act to make a difference for our IET selflessly. I will champion technicians. I will also promote my 4 Zs and meet as many members and volunteers as possible and listen hard to what you have to say. On this last pledge, I'd like to visit as many local networks as practicable and step back to global engagement. Of course, this is dependent on COVID-19 and the various international rules, but this cannot put a hold on everything. And to kick off this pledge, I shall hold monthly down the line sessions with members, and I'm already looking forward to the Q&A sessions. The first 3 are planned for the times and dates on the screen now, which are planned in 3-month cycles to be convenient to everyone, regardless of your time zone. And now, please don't forget, everyone, every day, eat, sleep, engineer and repeat. Once again, on behalf of the IET, please stay safe wherever you are watching from, and thank you.